Hey, how's it going? And today I just wanted to talk about subclasses in Unreal Editor for Fortnite. This is using the verse programming language. A subclass really is just an instance of another class. An easier way to think of this is to think of the class as the parent and the subclass as the child. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this is that if you come down here and you read about this here, this super keyword, I guess it is. This is actually outdated here. This where they reference log. This won't work. This actually refers to logarithm. It doesn't refer to the channel log. So this doesn't work. And I just have a verse device in the scene. There's nothing paired with it. And the rest of this is just in the code. So let's kind of walk through this or stumble through it. I've created here a class called animal, and inside of it has 5 field values, an instance of the log here, and then it has a method called display method. So 5 field values, an instance of a log class, and then it has display message here. This is a base class used to create a channel for log, and you can't create an instance of log without a channel to initialize it with. So that's why you got to do this. And this here is what will appear as a prefix for whatever prints out in the log. I did a separate tutorial on this whole log channel thing, but this is how you get it to print, not with the capital L-O-G, like it showed in the example. So anyway, there's this class. Then what we're going to do is we're going to create 3 subclasses, one called dog, cat, and horse. And they all inherit from the parent class, or I guess the superclass, called animal. So that means that dog, cat, and horse all inherit these 5 fields plus this method here. When we create this class here, the subclass, and we put in animal, essentially what we're doing is we're inheriting everything that animal does. So just like in genetics, where a child inherits qualities from the parent, these subclasses inherit everything from its parent, the animal class. So we're creating an instance of a class that is inheriting from the animal class. So we call that a subclass. But in its own right, this is also a class. So here we're creating these 3 more classes or subclasses here. So when you go to create instances of those classes, you can create a function to make it easier to initialize those instances of that class. So here we create 3 functions to create instances of each of those 3 classes. So this one is create dog, create cat, and create horse. And there's different things you can do when you go to initialize the instance of a class. One way to initialize it is just by putting in all these parameters. You have to put in all these field values. You can't leave one of them out. Like if I tried to leave eat timeout here, you see I'm going to get an error, and the error is object archetype must initialize data member eat time, right? But this can get time consuming if you have to do this all the time, right? Like for each instance you got to do that. So that's why you create a function to do it, so it automatically does it. But even this can get tiresome too. So there's this override specifier that allows you to initialize the field values here at the class level, so that when you go to create an instance of it, you don't have to write all of this stuff out. So this is really a time-saving device. What's interesting about these functions is these functions here that initialize these classes are very similar to what Verse calls constructors. In fact, they actually kind of are constructors. But a constructor is considered its own special function with its own special specifier and things like that. The other thing I don't know if I neglected to mention it is that dog and cat are subclasses of the class animals. So they inherit everything that the animal can do, all the properties of the animal. But then you can add additional properties or field values or methods to these classes. So like dog has bark and cat has meow and horse has neigh. These classes are children of this parent class. The children really have no relationship with each other. They only have a relationship with the parent class. But dog has no relationship with cat. Horse has no relationship with cat and dog because they diverge from each other, but they have no relationship with each other. But that's the whole point of creating these, of inheritance and object-oriented programming, is that we can borrow, inherit from another class to build a new class that's unique and special. So anyway, down here under the cat class, we use this parentheses super colon parentheses, and that allows us access to this method within the parent class here. So what we'll see is we're going to see meow meow purr, and then we're going to see purr. That's what we're going to see when this prints out in the log. And then once we've created these classes, then these subclasses, classes, we can call these functions and create instances of those classes. Once we create instances of those classes, then we can access the fields within them, like this, with the dot operator. Now here, we're accessing the method here, display message, right? So this is how we would access a method within this class here. So anyway, let's see what this looks like. If I come up here and I build the code, and let me go ahead and push those changes, start the game, and you'll see that everything prints as expected in the upper left corner. Now if I escape out of here in the game, and then I press tab, I can go to the log, and you'll see there's our subclass logs that printed out there. So anyway, I hope you found this of some help. Take care, have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.